Welcome to Before Brunch TV. I'm your host, Stephanie Walters, and today we're talking about women in their 20s. Now, I am far beyond my 20s, had the time of my life, but we're talking to some women who are in their 20s and just slipped away from their 20s. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Help me reminisce back. We've got Kiahnna, Ariana, and Destini. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so tell me your age. Tell me your age, what you do, and who you are, and then we'll dig in.
Okay, I'm Kiahnna. I am a media correspondent. I am 30. I just turned 30 not too long ago, so I just made the cut to make it on your show.
Hey Steph, I'm Ariana, 26. I'm an entrepreneur, a co-founder of the Foster Beauty Fashion Show and Studio Standout.
Awesome. I'm Destini, 26. I am also a founder. I work with different organizations on strategy and development, so a lot of cool, fun stuff.
It sounds like a dating profile. Hello, my name is so-and-so. I'm
Yeah.
26.
Right.
Yes. So, look, I vividly remember being in my 20s, and sometimes I'm like, oh, take me back. And then now that I am pushing 40, I'm like, ooh, don't take me back, because there's so many learning lessons and so many things. And so, what would you say has been one of the biggest, I would say, joys and highlights of being in your 20s, or, when you were in your 20s just a couple of days ago?
Right.
What has been that moment of ooh, this is fun?
Right. Well, I feel like the 20s for me it was a lot of hard work. I put my head down, did the work, but then I looked up and I was like, man, I wish I would have enjoyed it a little bit more, So I guess this next chapter, I'm really going to focus on that. But the joys were just excitement, just being excited to start my career, excited to graduate. I couldn't wait to graduate. And now I'm actually taking me back to college. But I guess that's how you're saying you look back on your 20s. But yeah, I think that it was kind of a roller coaster ride, honestly, for my 20s. So.
Yeah, I would say for me, now that I'm a little bit past the midway point of 20, I'm just enjoying the experience of learning myself and being able to step into who I wanted to be, who I kind of always saw myself being in my teenage years. I'm kind of finally seeing myself become that. So that's what I'm most excited about, to continue on that.
Yeah, definitely echoing those two. I think it's such a creative space. A lot of exploration and discovery, and it's kind of expected, in the era of your 20s. So that's probably the most fun part, the creative space.
Yeah, and all y'all are doing some dope stuff. And I think back when I was 22, I knew what I wanted to do and I was hustling to get it, but I feel like there's just so many more opportunities now, and you guys are capitalizing off of that. And so I want to start with you, because you have this whole amazing company with your husband. First of all, you're 26 and you married.
Yes.
When I first met her, I was I knew you were young. And she was yeah, I've been married for a couple, XYZ. I was what? So talk about what that is building a business, owning your own brand, and maintaining a relationship within that. Because them 26s, it's this is struggle years.
Yeah, it can be. One thing I will say, I'm blessed to have a partner who, for one, he's just my solidarity, my rock, my everything. And for us to have the same interests and passions, to be able to start a business together is everything. So to have someone, first of all, to be that partner for me is everything. And the reason why I am where I am, really. But it's a lot. Just like I said, navigating who I am and being in a role as a leader, as a mentor. I was telling the girls, learning about myself and how do I, function as a leader, as a boss, as a role model to others while I'm still learning about myself. It's an interesting journey, it is, but it's so much fun, especially to be in a creative space with the fashion shows that we do. And we're just so blessed to be able to collaborate with other people who are like-minded as well. I feel like there's so much I could say. I don't want to keep rambling, but yeah, it's just an exciting journey to be on.
And Kiahnna, for you, you're in the media, and I understand, you have to put on this, brave face all the time, and you're just, always at it, on the go. Everything's ever changing. What has that journey been like for you, in your 20s?
I feel like it was a lot of lessons, I don't like to look at it oh man, I regret anything, but I feel like I had to learn so many lessons on air, essentially, as I'm trying to figure out my 20s and learn who I am, learn what I like. I was learning about the world around me as well, good or bad, good or bad stories that I was covering. But yeah, it was like a lot of lessons, a lot of hard lessons. There was a lot of joy as well, but mostly just, roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a hard fall, and
Yes.
it's a lot of hard falls in your 20s. Destiny, for you, when we first met and we exchanged different ideas, and you become such a great connector for me and kind of like a mentee mentor. I'm like, who's the mentee, who's the mentor in this situation? But knowing like how you've been able to maneuver these lanes, what has been the brought you the most joy in this journey at 26? Because you've done a lot of stuff.
Oh man, I think getting to really do what I love the most, which working with organizations and great people like you, and getting to see the fruits of whether it's connections or ideas or strategies, getting to see them come alive. I think that has been the most beautiful part of it. And seeing that I could literally make a living being myself. I feel like that's the dream for many of us, and I'm getting to do it. And I think that's just seeing the fruits of that is beautiful.
Yeah. Sounds beautiful.
I feel like one thing that I admire about you all's generation, because I think we are in different generations now. I'm a millennial. What are y'all?
Is it like
Gen X?
what's the mid?
I'm
Is it
like on the
millennial?
It's like Lord, we two generations now behind. Good gracious. I think what I admire about you all is like y'all don't give up sooner. Like I think for us, it's like you still had to go by these rules and who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be doing, and career wise, okay, I have to play these roles, and y'all coming out the gate, like coming out of college, whatever, like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I'm moving forward, and I love that about you all. And so what was the moment that you all realized, you know what? I'm going to be myself. I don't give a damn about what anybody has to say. Like, what was that aha moment for you all?
I feel like when I transitioned from wearing straight and relaxed hair to wearing curly hair, that was that moment where I realized all the rules are fake. Just do you and do it well. What God has for you is for you, honestly. That's when I realized, like, oh, okay, I'm not playing it safe anymore. I'm just going to go for it. So.
And specifically wearing your hair like that on air.
100%.
Yes.
I mean, it was a mountain, okay? But on the other side, I was like, you know what? I need to do this more often. Is to just go after what I want. So.
I feel like I've always had that really. From a young age, I always knew the things that I wanted to do. And I didn't see myself doing anything else. I didn't know how I was going to get there or how it was going to happen, but I just knew, like, I have one life and I have certain things that I want to do, and I'm just not going to do anything else. And it hasn't always been that way, like, I've had my times, high school, college, you get off track, you get off course, but I always knew there's certain things that I want to do, and I won't feel complete in myself unless I go after those things.
I feel like for me, it's just like my nature was just too strong to deny. Like part of what helps me be effective with others is seeing pieces and parts and people who, if you guys just got together, this beautiful thing could happen. And then I had to apply that to myself. And it was hard. I did struggle because I knew a lot of people who had ideas of who I could be. Like, oh, you're so good at this, you should be a real estate person, you should do this, you should do that. And I said, what if I'm none of them, and what if I'm all of them? So I was just like, I'm just going to be me and see what happens. So that's really what it was, just leaning into that.
Yeah. Based on, there's so many social media images out there, and I think we all get caught up in that. Seeing what's been portrayed like on TV and on social media, is the 20s what you thought it would be? Like what you all thought it would be right now in this moment?
I can't say that. Nope, I can't say that. I feel like I would have had it all figured out.
Yeah.
I'd be married with kids and, this big house, and no, ma'am. That is not the
0 out of 0 stars.
Right? No, ma'am. So no, I can't say that it is, but I feel like I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will say I had all these unrealistic standards for what I'm supposed to accomplish by 30. And it's funny, on the way here, I was thinking, like, who puts that benchmark out that, like, by 30 you're supposed to do all these things? So in that regard, I'll say no. But like you said, I feel like I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be on. And now I feel like hitting this midpoint in my 20s, that I really am learning so much about myself and the world and who I am. And yeah, it's all coming together.
Man, I don't even know if I had a clear picture of what the 20s would look like for me, but definitely not what I expected. I feel like that era is full of so many transitions, so many things you gain, so many things you might grieve in life, and especially maybe over the last 2 years, most of my circle is people in their mid-30s and up. Like, those are the people I spend most of my time with. We love this stuff, love hanging out with you. But even learning from them what they thought of their 20s and my experience in my 20s, I feel like it's such an interesting and weird time. But yeah, definitely would have expected this, but I think that's where the growth and the development happens, is in this messy, creative, unstructured place, is very heavily in your 20s.
Yeah. I want to talk about body image. When I was in my 20s, like, I look back at photos and I'm like, dang, like, I was so hard on myself. And social media, I'm dating myself. Social media had just come out. Like, Facebook came out when I was in college. Instagram came out after college. Twitter came out after college. And I'm like, man, I was so hard on myself. And especially after having a kid, I'm like, man, throw the whole, like, body away. But how do you all feel like that affects your everyday life? Because I'm looking on social and seeing girls who are, like, 22, 25, 29, getting like full surgeries. I'm like, yo, your full body hasn't even developed yet. Like, how does that make y'all feel in terms of how you're navigating this life?
Well, first of all, can we give it up for her body? Because ma'am, no ma'am, we won't tolerate that.
You guys can take some.
Well, I do think that the surgery industry, it is booming, and while sometimes I'm like, okay, well, if you don't like it, yes, change it. But I do think when they're so young, I am like worried about like what it will look like in the future. But then I'm also like, dang, do I need a little, you know what I mean? Like it does start to influence like you, especially when I remember I was at a store and the mannequin was like curvy, and I was like, oh, I can't fill this out, So I do think that it does affect, I think it affects women in general, but especially like younger girls. I mean, I am comfortable with who I am. I've been this size forever, so like I'm comfortable with it, but I do think that it will affect the younger generation of girls. So.
Yeah, I definitely went through that, especially like the BBL era craze, all that.
It's
like,
still here.
Very
alive and well.
It's still here. I definitely went through that. Growing up, I was not comfortable in my body. I was always just this skinny little twig. Tall, lanky. Thank you. I feel like now that I'm getting older, I am being more comfortable and confident, because I'm like, I'm me. I can't be anybody else but me, and I love me, and I am who I am. But social media definitely played a part in it. I'm trying to do less social media, do reading books, things that people used to do.
Oh gosh, in the archaic times, like.
Right, but no, it really does play a role on your mental health and your self-image. And it's something that I know it's a conversation, but it doesn't get talked enough in small group settings like this, like how are you, how do you feel about yourself? So I would say I'm getting there. I am there, but it's a daily thing, to just wake up and fully love what you see and be confident in that. But just to know that other people, one thing I remind myself, because you'll see yourself and think about your own insecurities, but just to remember that other people have insecurities too, and something that you might not like about yourself might be someone else's favorite thing about you. So I do keep those things in mind.
Yeah, definitely a daily journey. For me, I've always been thicker, and so that's always been a thing, and I feel like there are ways where you start to embrace more of that, like, not just your body for your looks, but the body is powerful. Like, it's this wonderful, thing. It can have kids. It can do all, it can do so much. And it's trying to value that fullness of yourself instead of making it just about how you look, and how those different opinions about your body can even shape how you feel about looking at yourself in the mirror. But yeah, it's a daily thing. I feel great today. So.
Yeah, I think about that a lot when I see this, and it's want to qualify this saying, like, people get surgery for different reasons. It's like, I'm all for people, do whatever you want with your body, like, that's your life. But I think about too, like, when you're doing this at 25, 26, there's some upkeep to that too. Like, there is you want to forget in 10 years you got to do a routine maintenance that's going to be very expensive. Like, this it's expensive to do these things. If you go to the right people, it's expensive. You flying off wherever can't help you. Like, that's a whole nother thing. But I think about how that has affected you all's psyche in terms of when you think about as you get older and you raising children, with the emergence of social media in your 20s, what scares you about that? Like, what scares you about how accessible everything is? And you guys have had accessibility your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think everything is right there, you know, in your hands, at your fingertips. So, I mean, I think it is a dangerous thing, but I also think it's a beautiful thing because it connects us a lot more than we ever could have imagined. You know, like family members that I haven't seen in years, I can see their whole life, you know, tomorrow on Facebook. So I mean, I think it's I don't know, you know, back and forth. I feel like I'm always like in the middle. I can see both sides.
Yeah, I agree. It is a double-edged sword. Something I was just talking to my husband about is that I want to use it more as a tool. I feel like phones and social media has just become something that is so ingrained in society. Like, the first thing you do when you wake up is check social media. And, you know, we can use it in a different way. I think sometimes this unrestricted access that we do have to social media, where just 24/7, it's in your face. I know it's up to us as individuals to, you know, take a stand for ourselves if that is something that, you know, you want to have a part of your life, or something that you want to, you know, minimize a little bit. It's hard. It's easier said than done, because it is just such a part of our lives. Like you said, I grew up when, I'm trying to think, because I know we had computers, and I got my first cell phone maybe in like 6th grade, and Facebook was coming up, and I snuck and made a MySpace account.
Facebook in the 6th grade. Oh my gosh!
I snuck and made a MySpace account. I remember my mom didn't know about it. So yeah, social media has been around pretty much as long as I can remember. So now I'm at a point where, you know, like even with the business that we have, you know, social media is kind of the backbone of our business. So one of those things, it's like, you love it, you gotta have it, but just finding healthy ways to use it, I think, and having a purpose to use it, and not just letting it be something that's taking control of your life.
Yeah, definitely off of that. I mean, being intentional is such a huge thing with social media, because even people understanding how social media works, like your algorithms literally work, so they show you more of what you think and what you believe, so you're constantly being fed what you want. And I feel like you have to be so intentional about, let me see someone else's perspective, let me hear someone else's perspective. We have access to the whole world, but we have to be aware of, you know, am I exposing myself to only what I believe or what I think? So whether it's body image, whether it's ideas, just being conscious of how this tool can be used in productive ways and how it can be used in destructive ways.
Yeah. And you all are so cognizant about what's happening and what's around you. I feel like when I was growing up, our only view of like women who are older, like 30s, 40s, 50s, was like what we saw, right? Like our moms, our aunties, and like, this ain't the same 30 and 40 that was, you know, our parents' generation. It looks so like drab. It just looks so like, oh gosh, do I want to stay at a job for 30 years and this is what I'm going to be? And not to knock them, like we have so many more opportunities, and grateful for them who have paved the way. And so the fact that you all get to see like women in their 30s, 40s, 50s out here killing it, like what makes you excited about, you know, getting to these next decades and, you know, learning from your 20s and carrying that information along?
I guess for me, like whenever I see someone doing something really cool, like you said, I'm like, that empowers me to think I can do that too. You know, like representation is everything. I mean, we always say it, but it's really true, because I'm like, okay, if she can do that, that means I can do it. So I just feel like, I mean, seeing the women now embracing their 30s, saying, you know, the 30s are the new 20s. I mean, even though 20 does sound sexy, but you know, the 30s are the new 20s, because it's like you have a little bit more money now. You have a little bit more confidence and, you know, self-assurance in who you are. And now you just kind of go into this next chapter. So I'm excited for my 30s, but I will miss my 20s. So I'm not gonna lie.
Yes to all that representation too. And it's like, I don't know where this idea came that like 30s was old, because I'm like,
right, it's really not.
It's not at all. Like even 40s. So I would say I feel like I'm for the first time excited about 30s now that I'm 26, and it's like that's gonna be the next chapter of my life. Just seeing where I'm at now and the trajectory that things are at, I'm like, you know, I know there's going to be more to learn and grow, but I'm like, I'm looking forward to all the blessings and opportunities that are to come. So I'm excited for 30, 40, 50, all that.
Yes, echoing entirely. The lessons. I mean, everyone here has done so much. And, you know, for us to be in our 20s or recently out and to have accomplished what we have, like, imagine what that could be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 50 years. And embracing life as this journey instead of this thing of I need to dread when I get to 60 or whatever. I just think it's more lessons. It's more, like you said, blessings. It's more learning about yourself. So I feel like just embrace it for what it is.
Yeah. You all are like the next, you know, kind of the prototype for the next generation under you all. And like, I feel like our generation, we're like the next prototype for you all. What is your hope for the next generation? Like, you all are going to be raising like my daughter, you know, like that's when you really put things in perspective. Like, y'all are like the next for my child. So what's your hope?
I hope that, I mean, specifically for Black women, because we're all Black women, I just hope that we get a little more grace, you know, there's a little more patience. We get away from those stereotypes of the angry Black woman and things like that, and we really just embrace that Black women need support, Black women, you know, need help sometimes, and that's okay. So hopefully that's the message that I can share, you know, and represent for your daughter and, you know, my daughter as well.
Yeah, I love that. I would say self-love, and then just loving each other more. There's just so much going on in the world, and I don't have all the answers, but I just hope that future generations will find more ways to just love each other, be community, be neighbors, be sisters and brothers. I do think that starts with self-love. So, you know, I don't know how, but hopefully we can be a beacon of light of showing that self-love, that confidence, that having a dream too, because I do think also having purpose also gives people that ability to love and love others. So hopefully we can inspire that.
Yeah, I think more people believing that being yourself is enough is a big thing. Like, your life doesn't have to be this pathway or this ladder or this black and white, like you're either this or that. Be you and embrace all the color that comes with that. I think my hope is seeing more people live into that. And yeah, that knowing it's enough, knowing it's more than enough, and knowing that when you are yourself, you're operating your purpose. Like, you are here on this planet doing what you're here to do, and that's the most important thing you could ever do. So embracing yourself.
Okay, snaps and a twirl for that one. Ladies, thank you so much for this conversation. I cannot wait to see where you all are in your 30s, 40s, 50s. Hopefully we're all still here together. For more information on Before Brunch TV and to see previous episodes and this one again, you can follow us at beforebrunchtv.com. We'll see you next time.